Hello everybody, this is Brian with ZimCo Survival and welcome to the wood shop. Basically, today I'm going to show you guys how to take some tin cans and turn them into a penny stove or a tin can alcohol stove. It's a really simple, easy process. The one that I'm going to show you, I've timed it out to about 10 minutes per ounce of alcohol. As soon as I get this made, I'm going to show you guys how to make a pot stand out of a metal clothes hanger. And then we're going to do a boil test and we'll see how long it takes. So basically, let me go ahead and get started with this. Basically, you're going to need a Sharpie, a box cutter, a pair of pliers, and a pair of scissors. It's pretty much that simple. You're also going to need a little nail and a hammer. Now you can also do this with a drill if you want to, but personally I like to keep it more simple. So let me go ahead and get started. Basically, you need something to measure your width with. To measure your width. In this case, I'm just going to use a piece of a 2x4. What you're going to do is you're going to put that down on the ground. Alright, very simple. Let me move this out of the way. Alright, you're going to put your can up next to it like this. You're going to take your Sharpie and you're going to lay it down on the board and just rotate the can around, making sure to get a good mark all the way around the can. Alright, just like this. Now, I use 3 cans. That's right. Apparently there was water on the can. There we are. We have the mark. Now, the next step that I like to do, just because it's easier to do with the actual whole can, is I like to find out which one I'm going to be using as the bottom, or as the top of my container. And in this case, this is the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to take the razor blade here. Let me give you guys a close-up. Alright? And we're just going to take right down inside that little groove. Right there inside that little groove. Okay? Right about there. We're going to make a score mark all the way around. I find it easier to do this if I do probably 3 or 4 passes over it. It makes it a lot easier to get the bottom out without tearing the rim, because if you tear the rim, you lose a lot of your pressure and the stove won't work properly. So there we go, there's 2. There's 3. Alright, there we go. Alright, so once you have this scored out really well, what you're going to do is you're going to take and you're going to punch a hole right in the middle right here. Alright? So it should look something like this. You're going to take and you're going to slowly work the edge of the knife up to your score line. Be very, very careful not to cut past that. Because again, you do not want to cut into this outer rim or you'll lose a lot of your pressure. And that's what it should look like. All the way up to the score line, but not past it. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on this side. Right here. There you go. Okay? Now sometimes I get lucky and I can pop these out with the way they sit right now, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get lucky this time. So I just make another mark here, cut all the way down. Do it here as well. Cut all the way down. So you form this little checker pattern, this little cross-like pattern. Then just push them in, and they should pop off fairly quickly. There we are. There we are. And there we are. Okay. All these little pieces here out. Right, and there you go. Now let me go get some stuff to clean out the inside of the can really quick. I'll be right back. Alright, so once you've gotten this part done and you have the top open on the one side, what you're going to do is you're going to have to cut this here. Now, you need to make sure not to bend it or kink it or do anything like that, because this wall is going to go down into or over your bottom one that we're going to make here in a minute. And in order to make sure you have a nice tight seal, you can't have any bends or crinks going all the way up that would allow that gas to come out. So I find the easiest way to do this is to take and make an initial cut line right about here. Okay, now what we're going to do is going to make it large enough for the scissors. Okay, just going to bend that in there just like this. Should look something like that. Now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut until we're at the bottom mark on our line. Okay? And then we're just going to follow the bottom edge all the way around. If you have to, bend this part to make it easier. Because you really need to make sure that it's straight. Or as close to straight as you possibly can get it. Alright? The more precise you are, the better your fuel efficiency will be. The longer your burn time per ounce. There we are. So this is what it looks like. Okay? This is what you should have. Now, we're going to cut the top off of this one. Or the bottom off of this one too. We're going to do the same thing we did before. Alright? We're going to go up to about here. We're going to make our little cut. We're going to make another cut right here. We're going to fold that down. Again, it should look something like this. You're just trying to make a little hole so that you can stick your pair of scissors in there. Okay? And now, you're going to cut down to the black mark. The bottom of the black mark again. And you're just going to follow that edge all the way around. Now this edge doesn't need to be as precise as the top does, because this is actually going to be fit inside of the other can. And you're actually going to be crimping this one to do that. So it doesn't particularly matter if this is exact or not, because this one is actually going to be bent in anyway to make it fit inside of this lid. Alright, so now you've got this done. So you have the bottom of your stove right here. And you have the top of your stove right here. The next step is to build the inner wall. Now this is where it starts to get a little bit complicated, so try to stick with me a little bit here. What we're going to do is we don't have to pay any attention to how precise this is cut. I use a third can because I find getting the right size out of a piece that I've already cut is a little bit difficult. So I like to make sure that I have a nice solid pressure all the way through in order to get that nice 10-minute burn time. So I use a third can for this. You can use the excess from one of these two if you want to, but I highly recommend going with the third one. What we're going to do is we're just going to take and cut the bottom off. Okay, be very careful not to cut yourself. Remember, tin cans are very, very sharp, especially once you cut them. So not only do you need to watch out for the blade, you need to watch out for the edges on the can that you're cutting too. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Alright. So there we have the bottom cut off. Now we're going to cut off the top. Okay. There we go. Now we have a tube of plastic, of metal. So the next step is just find a place on here that you can cut straight, and you know, just any line, anything like that, rather than having to sit here and try to measure everything out. So in this case I have a nice line right there, so I'm going to follow it up. Just like that. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side right here. There we are. Now you have a nice piece of flat tin. So, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to wipe that off on the inside here. Okay. So once you have this piece of tin, what you need to do is measure it out. In this case, I know that I've made enough of these that I'm going to need my inner wall to be about 2.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just this piece of wood here just to help hold it open. I'm going to take out my tape measure here, lay it down like this, and measure it out to 2.5 inches and make a mark. Now, it's very, very important that this step goes correctly. Make sure you're squared. Make sure that you're at 2.5 inches on both sides. Or actually, I think I'm going to do 2 1/4 this time. See if I can make it a little bit tighter. Okay, so you're going to put a mark there. And then you're going to take and you're going to put another mark, same place, 2 1/4 inches on the other side. All right. My top, there it is. All right, so you have your 2 marks, okay? One there and one right there. Okay? Now, what I like to do is to take a long straight edge piece of wood like this. I'm going to clean this up a little bit here so I can lay it down. There we are. And I like to take right along this edge, okay? Make sure it's square. Square it up with the other side of the wood. Okay. Move down just a little bit. Okay. There we go. And now I find the easiest way to cut this, instead of using a pair of scissors or anything like that, is to actually take the blade itself on your box cutter and just make continual score marks all the way along until it comes off. There. I find that gives me the best, straightest edge. Alright. So, we're going to do the same exact thing, except this time we're going to do it on the large piece right here. Okay. So we have our marks. We're going to go ahead and flush it up. Make sure that it's nice and square. Okay. Right about there. Okay. That's nice and even. This here is nice and square. Alright. Now we cut. There we go. Oop, and it escaped. Okay, so now you have your inner wall, okay? That's going to fit inside of here just like this. As you can see, it creates a little gap right there, and that's where your fumes are going to build up and create your jets. Now before you do that, before you actually take and put this in there, it's important that you take and cut 2 small slits in the bottom of this. And you fold them up just like this. Because that's what's going to let your alcohol get down into your combustion chamber from the bottom. So it should look something like this when you're done. Okay, you see the 2 little slits? Let's see if I can show them to you here. There's one. Okay. Now, you can go ahead and you can put that in there. Make sure that it fits right. Make sure it's nice and level across the top. The next part of this is a little bit tricky, but it's not difficult. What you're going to do is you're going to take and you're going to make little crimps, kind of like this, all the way along the inside of the can for the bottom part. And what that's going to do is it's going to let this piece of the can slide up into the underside of the can. And by doing this in a controlled way, you can reduce the chances that it's going to bend all the way down to the bottom, which is where you'll end up losing pressure. So we're just going to go all the way around, being careful, just crimping it just a little bit as we go. Alright. So it should look something like this when you get done. Okay? Next step is to put it together. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the top in here, just like this. Alright? You're going to put the wall actually, excuse me. Then you're going to take the top, and it should just slide up over the bottom just like that because you crimped it. You shouldn't have to fight with it. Okay? You're just going to start sliding it down. And if the interior wall gets stuck anywhere, just go ahead and move it a little bit to get it unstuck. This is probably the most annoying part of the entire thing. Getting that wall to line up properly. Alright, so I finally managed to get it in. Basically, you have your inner wall, which is right here, and that's the little flat piece of tin that we put in, and it locks into this top ring right there and the bottom ring right there. This portion right here, this is your actual the chamber. So once you have this done and you have it all put together, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a thin nail. You don't want anything ultra large, because the larger the holes, the less the pressure will be and the smaller your flames are. So what I like to do is, I know some people, the number of holes varies. A lot of people don't care how many holes they put in there. Some people do an exact number all the way around. I personally use 6. I feel like it gives me a good flame height and a good heat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and I don't really measure it. I just kind of eyeball it, and I put 6 holes all the way around the outer edge. And I'll show you what that looks like here as soon as I get done. There you go. 6 holes all the way around the edge. They're not exactly evenly spaced, but they're pretty close. And that is your final product. As you can see, it doesn't take very long. I really didn't stop this video very much, and I didn't continue on without you guys, so the length of this video is how long it takes to actually make one of these from start to finish. So go ahead and use the video as a timer up until this point. Now I'm going to show you guys how to make a pot holder out of a metal clothes hanger, and then we'll go ahead and we'll test this out. Be right back. Hello everybody. We're back. We're going to go ahead and do the test on this stove. I decided not to do the clothes hanger stand because I wanted to show you guys what I actually use, and that's basically a solid fuel stove like that one there. Just flipped upside down on a couple of sticks, just using scrap wood here. But this is how I actually use it as a pot holder for my my alcohol stove. So right here I just have some 91% alcohol. This isn't the best stuff. Denatured alcohol is the best. But I wanted to show you guys what it could do if all you had was, you know, some just general cleaning alcohol. It does work. It's not the best. It's not going to heat things up the fastest, but I wanted to show you guys what it could kind of do. Now, it's about 42 degrees out here today, and it's raining. So, I expect this test, I expect this to be a fairly good test because it's going to give me kind of an idea and give you guys an idea on what a stove like this can do in not so good conditions. Now, I am protected a little bit from the rain, but not too much. So, there might be a drop or two of water gets into the stove. So I wanted to show you guys kind of not so great conditions, how fast the stove will actually get heated up and boil water. So the way I'm going to do this test is once the stove heats up, I'm going to go ahead and pause the timer and show you guys how long that took. And I'm going to start the timer again and stop it once the water starts boiling, so that you guys know from light to boil how long it's going to take. So let me go ahead. I'm going to put about 2 ounces in here. Alright. Now this stove holds about 3, so we're going to fill it up to about there. And I'm going to use 2 ounces here instead of 1 because the conditions aren't the best, and I'm expecting it to take a little while for it to heat up. Next, I'm going to take my little Advneture, which is just this thing here, and go ahead and strike it and see if I can get a fire going. Alright. And the stove is lit. And now we're going to see how long it takes. Be right back. Alright, so we're up to temperature. Unfortunately, the wind keeps putting out my little jets there, so once I get the pot stand on, that should go away and my jets should all come out properly. But as you can see, it took 6 minutes and 25 seconds to heat up in these conditions, 42 degrees, with rain, without a windscreen. So all considering, I think that's not too bad. Now let me go ahead and put this on so I can get it out of the wind a little bit. I'll go ahead and put on the water. There we are. And I'll be back with you guys as soon as it starts boiling. There we go. We have a nice rolling boil. And it is 18 minutes, 29 seconds. Not too bad considering the temperature and the fact that it's raining and I don't have a windscreen. So given the less than optimal conditions, I would say this did fairly well. I put the pot on at 7 minutes, so it took about, let's round up to 19 total minutes, so it took about 12 minutes to boil, to reach a good rolling boil like this. So let me get you guys just a little bit closer here so you can see. There you go. Have a nice rolling boil. Like I said, I don't think it did too badly, all considering that the conditions were as bad as they were. So I know that in these conditions, I will have a pot of coffee in about 20 minutes. Which, like I said, not bad. I mean, if it was 60 degrees out, sunny, and you didn't have wind blowing everywhere, or you were able to get a windscreen, you would have it much, much faster than this. Normally, in good conditions, I can have a rolling boil in probably 6 minutes on average with one of these alcohol stoves. So it took about twice as long because of the conditions. But like I said, it's not bad when you look at how poor things actually are here. But there you have it. That's how you make an aluminum can alcohol stove. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. Leave a comment below and I'll be happy to respond. As always, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.